Episode 763. Shinguo picked up the paper and flipped it open. There, printed clearly, were the words, Glory Professional Alliance, 3rd Season, Most Valuable Player, Ye Chu. This tattered piece of paper was none other than the Most Valuable Player certificate from the Glory Professional Alliance, the kind of award players would carefully frame and display alongside their MVP trophy in the most prominent spot. But now Yi Shu was crumpling it up like toilet paper and tossing it to Chen Guo like trash.
Why are you so annoying?
Chen Guo was furious. She wanted to throw that piece of paper right back at Ye Shu's head, but when she lifted it, she just couldn't bring herself to let go. But in the end, she understood what Yi Shu meant. That torn piece of paper was proof enough of his skill, or rather, his strength was already so widely known it was beyond question. He genuinely had no desire to prove himself through damage output in a dungeon. He was perfectly happy being called a freeloader, mooching EXP, gear, and free rides. But since the other side wasn't having it, Ye Shu put on a serious face, at least in posture. As for actually taking the game seriously, Chen Guo figured that was out of the question. Because if Ye Shu really got serious, this team probably couldn't handle it, unless he was the MT.
Everyone ready? Let's pull the boss.
Crisp Bean asked in the party, and after hearing everyone's confirmation, he strode toward the boss. But almost at the same time, a figure flashed to his side. Kudo turned to look, and there it was, that disgusting name, Invincible Most Handsome.
What?
Crisp Bean flew into a rage, convinced this guy was about to start causing trouble at the worst possible moment. Chen Guo lit up. Ye Shu was going to grab aggro as the MT? Screw that. Let me show you all what a real pro can do. As for that, whatever his name Bean, go cool off somewhere. With a name like Crisp Bean, you're just asking to get popped as the MT.
Damage.
Yet all Yi Shu did was utter a single light-hearted line.
Wait for the MT to pull aggro first. Don't you know that?
Crispy Bean was still furious, and it wasn't just him. Everyone else was outraged too. Every player knew that was a cardinal sin, especially against a boss. You give the tank time to build solid aggro before the DPS pile on.
Huh? Did I really get ahead of you?
Yi Shu said, sounding rather puzzled. Only then did Kudu turn his head to see Guardian Kaiwei, the first boss of the ancient dragon abyss, charging toward him with a massive battle axe raised high. The aggro was still on Crispy Beans, unchanged, but only because he had entered Guardian Kevi's aggro range first. If this invincible handsome guy so much as threw a single attack right now, the aggro would switch immediately. Realizing this, Crisp Bean rushed forward and struck. Almost at the same moment, Invincible Most Handsome also stepped forward and launched an attack at Guardian Kaiwei.
Kick him out of the team.
Kudu had already shouted it out to the team leader, Xinlu. Xinlu had clearly grown deeply suspicious of Wudi Zuijunlang's actions. She'd already pulled up the party interface. Then he heard Wudi Zuijun Shuilang say, with a hint of helplessness in his voice,
What are you yelling about? Isn't the aggro on you?
The boss is aggro. To be honest, as a tank, Crispbean had completely forgotten about that by now, because he had generated aggro and it had landed squarely on Invincible Most Handsome. It was only when he heard that sentence that he snapped awake. Taking a closer look, he realized the boss guardian Kale's aggro was still on him. The massive axe in his hands didn't deviate a single inch despite Invincible's attack. It swung true, straight down at Crisp's shield. A deafening crash rang out. In that split second of realization, Crisp Bean immediately raised his round shield, probably the most instinctive, most practiced move for any T player. Guardian Kaiwei's axe came crashing down, slamming heavily into Kudo's round shield. This attack was hardly earth-shattering. With his gear, Crispy Bean was already steamrolling this dungeon. He simply raised his round shield and caught the blow without budging an inch. Almost simultaneously, the knight's sword in his other hand swung out and struck Guardian Kaiwei. At the same time, Kudu saw Wudi Zuijun Shuilang's shield slam into the back of Guardian Kaiwei's head. Shield bash, a skill that inflicts stun. But any boss worth its salt has ridiculous resistance in some areas. You can't just let players lock it down for free, that would gut the difficulty. As a Dragon Guardian, Kale was naturally immune to most magically induced abnormal statuses. But against a physical blow like Shield Bash, his resistance simply wasn't absolute. After taking that Shield Bash, stars exploded in his eyes. He had clearly been knocked into a daze. But for a boss, abnormal status effects are usually short-lived. As the MT, Kui-do was the one who faced the boss directly, so he had a thorough grasp of its stats, skills, and resistances. And with his familiarity with the Knight class, he immediately deduced that given Wudi Zujunliang's strength stat, the stun from that Shield Bash would last no more than a second at most. But in a team fight, a 1-second window is more than enough for a lot to happen. Kyudo immediately reaped the benefit of that 1-second window. Earlier, his aggro had been locked onto Wudi Zui Junlang, causing him to zone out. After reflexively completing his shield block and counterattack, he actually hesitated for a brief moment, unsure of what to do next. That 1-second gap gave Kyudo a moment of hesitation. Without it, he would have immediately faced Guardian Kevi's counterattack. This was just the first mini-boss of the dungeon, and Chris Bean's gear was so over-leveled that even eating that counterattack wouldn't have been a big deal. But what if this were a high-difficulty team dungeon?
What if this is a boss powerful enough to kill you in a single blow?
This 1 second becomes critically important. This 1 second might have been insignificant, but at least it showed a glimmer of awareness. A mere second, gone in a flash. That 1 second delay was all Chris Bean needed to snap back to focus and start expertly pulling aggro. He never even noticed the effect that second had had. He was even a little annoyed by Wudi Zuijunlang's Shield Bash. Same reason as before. He felt he hadn't established stable aggro yet, and this guy was already jumping in to attack. Wasn't that just asking to die? What made it worse was that this guy still didn't know when to stop. He kept pressing the attack alongside Kui-do, the two of them ganging up on Guardian Kavi while everyone else hadn't even moved yet. In most teams, the rule is that the DPS don't start until the MT calls the pull. Right now, Shinlu was just topping up Kui-do's health, and not even aggressively, since healing generates a ton of aggro. Push it too hard and you'd rip it right off the tank.